This is the July meeting of 2017 of the Villa Rica Historical Preservation Commission. And I'd like to call the meeting to order. And on the first order is the adoption of the agenda. Has everyone read it?
Yes.
Yes.
I move. Second.
Motion and second to accept the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Okay. Let's move on to old business. We have the minutes from the June 13, 2017 meeting. Have we looked at those?
Yes.
Okay. Any additions,
Nope.
subtractions,
It's good.
deletions? Everything okay? Okay. What's your pleasure?
I move to approve. Sorry.
That's okay.
Nancy?
I'll second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye. Okay. Okay, the Main Street report.
And Chris is not here. He's supposed to come in. Can we postpone that
We
to
can.
later in the meeting?
Oh, we sure can. Okay, we'll hold on to that. Okay.
We're not as rigid.
Okay, we'll move to item C, which is confirmation of attendance at the Main Street Advisory Board meeting on July the 21st of 2017.
That sounds like him.
That is him.
Okay. Why don't we retract that for just a moment, because our Main Street report person just walked in. You're up.
Oh.
Yes, sir, Mr. Pike.
I was early. It's hot.
Yeah. Yes.
See, I'm early on the agenda. I'm not usually that high up.
Well, you're on time, though.
Good.
Thank you.
Just to give some updates, progress is going on. As you all know, by this point that Monday we're doing our groundbreaking for the new Welcome Center. That will be the conversion of the old Butterballs gas station into a visitor information center for Villa Rica. As you all are aware, we were designated as a regional visitor information center for Carroll County, and so we are the official state organization for the county as far as where do you go to get tourism information. And so we're connected with the rest of the state as far as their visitor information centers as a network for tourism information, which is good for us because we get listed on the state's website and some other listings that are associated with that. And plus there's some reciprocal information that is shared between entities and organizations. So this center will help us to better serve visitors to the city. But it also marks really the first major project from the master plan that was unveiled to the community in June of last year. And so it's kind of the hallmark or the icon project, if you will, that hopefully will be the first of many projects to come over the next few years. We also have given and provided information from the hotel market study that we had done to a company that is looking at the development. It's in the very infancy stage, and so we will need to let them go through their process to figure out if the numbers make sense from them as a bottom line perspective, and then I'm sure they'll get back to us with whatever it is their wishes and desires are, and then the process will kind of move forward from there. And hopefully we're about 90 days out from seeing some work related to the gateway signs. That project, because they're uniquely designed signs, they have to be manufactured, which takes some time, and them coming out doing a site visit, talking about exactly specifically what we want, and so that project hopefully we'll see some groundbreaking here in the next 90 days with that related to that. We have to do some easement, right-of-way acquisition from some property owners in order to be able to put up the sign. So we're working with the attorney on that right now. So that's pretty much the overarching projects we have going on. I'll answer any questions that you might have.
I have one. What time is the groundbreaking Monday?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
The signs that are being made, are those the original ones that we saw a couple months ago?
For the Welcome Center? Yes, ma'am, yep.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. The attendance on the Main Street Advisory Board meeting for July 21st.
I'm kind of coming in on this in the back door, but I guess you all were invited to attend that meeting. And there's an
Yeah.
issue as to whether there's going to be enough of you there to constitute a quorum, because we'll need to advertise that as one of your meetings. So we need to determine who's going to be there.
Well, I was at, not last week's, but the prior week, so it would have been, the last week of June, or no, July the 1st. I attended that meeting, and I
Okay.
was the only member that did.
Okay,
So, of historic preservation,
okay,
I went to one of the DDAs also.
yeah.
okay.
So I don't think we're going to,
No need to advertise
I
it as a
don't think we're
meeting.
going to meet to have a quorum. If somebody does, we'll just step out of the room, so. I
Okay.
see where there's a problem with that.
Okay,
Okay. Anything else on that?
that's all.
Item number D, Rollin, your product list. Rollin?
Yeah. All right.
Rollin.
I have the biggest concern right now is the exterior. And what I did is I went to a reclaimed wood gentleman, and he did not have it because of the thickness.
Yes.
He has
Yeah, okay.
the same beadboard, but it's thinner. Now, I have found this at a lumber yard down in, I can't remember.
That's
the
okay,
name of it.
that's all right.
But my problem is that the lining up the bead is just a little bit off. So what we're recommending and waiting back from the adjuster, we take all of this down and go with this.
Okay.
The difference, I don't know why this particular piece that I happen to pull down does not have both notches. Looks like they've cut it off for some reason, whether they replaced this piece before, and it's a lot easier if you cut out
Yeah.
the back of the
Backside of the tongue,
groove.
if they grow here.
Now, I know this doesn't concern you, this is basically interior, but nobody handles this picture mold anymore. This is the closest I found, but I found a mill, and he's setting up the knives
Oh, okay, good.
to get this exact build. If you notice, it's,
Mhm.
this one's wider, and
Yeah.
overall,
Yeah.
it's wider. So he's going to set up his knives to do this, and what I'm going to do in the room that it's affected, I'm going to replace all four walls with this. And,
Put a bead on that other board like the other one?
I'm sorry, this is interior,
I know, that's how I went too.
this is the outside porch.
Right. What I'm asking is, can the same person who's going to set up the floor for there also take and do that to that board as well?
Well, there, if you look at it, the bead isn't but a hair difference, but just enough. If you look, if you line this up, it's just a little bit, not even the size of the little bead. So my plan is to take all of the ceiling down off the porch and replace it with
I agree.
this. Is everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be much more cost effective.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, close. Like I say, it might be a 1/16 of an inch wider in the bead. And even though this is inside, that's our plan for here. So now what we're doing is we've covered their floor in anticipation of getting started, but we're waiting for word from the insurance adjuster to okay
Right.
the difference in prices. Because I'm also having the real 2x4s and 2x6s and 2x8s milled from
Good.
your contact.
Good.
And so that has changed the price of the putback. And so that, and also it has 1x6s and 1x8 planks in the roof with OSB over it, and then the shingles. So to be able to do what we have to do, he only priced OSB board, which means you're going to change the thickness of the roof.
Mhm.
So
Weren't you going to do a total new roof?
yeah, and that's the point. The point is, if you're going to do a new roof, if you're only, he was only giving us the OSB board and the shingles.
Mhm.
Well, if I don't have to do this side, all the 1x6s and 1x8s,
Yes.
and you do it on this portion, then you're going to have the thickness of the 1x, which is about an inch because it's the real wood, and you would have lumps in the ceiling. So I had to add the cost of the 1x's to the price, so I'm waiting for the adjuster to approve. I might have to step in and ask you guys to give me a little letter that says, hey, we have to do all the porch to make it match. Okay?
Yes.
And I think that's all the concern, unless there's something else. We're ice blasting the attic.
Yes.
I've got a price for that as soon as they turn us loose. We've covered all the flooring inside. We won't have to do as much of the plaster ceilings, so I gave back that, but I increased
Yeah.
for the
Give or
different
take.
sizes,
Sure.
but it did increase overall.
Okay. Okay.
So as soon as I get a confirmation of that, then we'll pull the permits and start.
Okay.
We'll do the ice blasting first to see.
Yes.
We might be able to save him some money on not having to replace all.
Okay.
Any questions?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Janet, on procedure, what do we do to, other than make a motion and pass and say that we accept the tearing down of the, and total replacement of the beadboard to the exterior? Is there anything that we give as a governmental entity
There is
to
an
the homeowner?
application for certificate of appropriateness. Has he filled that out? I haven't seen
Not
that.
to my, not to my knowledge,
Okay.
no.
Because we need to get that filled out, and then that's something that y'all would vote on to approve, and at that point, we would issue a letter saying that that
Okay.
certificate of appropriateness have been
Well,
approved. So-
Okay, so bear with us on
Yeah,
government functioning here. Yeah. We're definitely not trying to drag you out
Right.
at all.
Yeah, because I got the homeowner, because they're not in the house right now.
True.
Right, right.
As I think as far as we're concerned, it's a go. So
Okay, I mean, if y'all,
even if we don't have the form before us
right,
and probably filled out and documented, why should we make him wait 30 more days just for us to come back and reconvene to look at his, now look at his form?
If-
I'd say that my motion is going to be to accept.
well, if y'all feel like you have enough information that you can accept it tonight, you can certainly go ahead and vote on it.
Discussion.
I'm
And
good.
we can issue the letter tomorrow. I mean,
All right, so we're basically in agreement, the three of us,
okay.
that, and I'll.
So if you need a motion, I move to accept.
Yeah, well, let me go ahead and make your statement for your motion. It'll be that we would accept the beadboard 100% removal and replacement on the exterior
Yes, sir.
of the house, and that is and I think that's really the issue that really comes before us. Everything else is fine. Okay, so Nancy's motion is to do the 100%, accept 100% removal of the, and replacement of the beadboard as presented to us tonight by your sample.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nancy? Nancy? Nancy?
Aye.
All right, motion carries 3-0. If you'll come down, do the perfunctory act of filling out the form with Ms. Hyde.
We'll get the paperwork squared away.
Yeah, we'll get the paperwork, and then you guys will be done with us.
We can do that tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome to stay, or if you want to take on that 2-hour drive tonight.
I'd appreciate it if I could sneak out.
You're good.
I quite often do.
It's a long drive. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll still
Thank you
see
for being patient.
And I want to come to your other meeting.
Okay, anytime.
Okay. E, list of existing designated buildings.
Okay, like I said, I'm coming in on the back end of this, so I'm not sure, I guess y'all had requested a list of existing designated buildings. What designation are you looking for?
The plaque program.
Okay, okay, I do have a list of those in my office. I don't think Rhonda was clear on what designation you were looking for.
Okay.
Because she, I guess, put in your packets, a printout from their website
Yeah.
that shows all the
Yeah.
buildings that have been recognized as being historic, but that's not all the buildings that have plaques on them.
That's what we were looking for. We do have some funds available to expand,
Okay.
put a few more on there.
And I'm not sure if y'all are aware, but I have plaques in my office already with,
Didn't know that.
yeah, with several years on them for houses that have been planned in the future, for buildings that have been planned in the future, not just houses.
And that's one other thing, we were looking for things also outside of houses, like the
Like the old hospital.
hospital, the
Okay.
baptismal. There's several things.
Okay. Do you also want markers or just plaques?
You'll have to give me the difference between
Okay.
markers and plaques.
A plaque goes on the building.
Mhm.
A marker is usually bigger, has more text about the area. For instance, there's one right out here denoting the textile mills. There's one over in front of the Berry Pharmacy. Of course,
Mhm.
that's a state plaque, but there's one in front of the old Bank of Villa Rica on the other side of the tracks. That was one that we put up. But yeah, those markers are large and they have a lot more text about what they're, about the area that they're talking about.
I'm guessing that they're a bit more expensive.
They are. They are.
For major points of interest, I think those would be appropriate. For smaller homes or, lesser buildings, then the smaller plaques, of course, would be
Yeah.
appropriate.
Yeah, a plaque on the
Yep.
building for one is not.
Yeah, the plaques that we have that are in my office for buildings just have a date on them and they say Villa Rica Historic Preservation.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to follow up and get more information.
Okay.
What guidelines we'd followed in the past.
Okay, yeah, there's on the website, there's a link to the Villa Rica Plaque Program on the Historic Preservation page.
Okay, I'll have to look again.
Kind of has some guidelines on there. But I'll be glad to bring those. I mean, y'all can stop by and look at them, or I can bring them to the meeting next month, and let you see what else there.
I usually pop in and out from time to time.
Okay.
Okay. F, training hours.
I guess you all are due to go to some training. Is that what I understand?
Yeah,
Okay.
we haven't been.
You haven't been at all?
No.
Okay, we need to get that taken
Training?
care of.
Training? What training? Diapers? No.
Well, you are required by the state to attend training. And I can't remember exactly how often you have to attend that training, but
I don't know, what are the hour, what's the hour?
it's usually a day-long training.
like-
And it's usually in some historic town like Dahlonega or somewhere like that. But I'll check into when the next one's coming up and I can let you
Yeah,
know.
because the state annual meeting was May of this year, and we didn't have a meeting for May, and we kind of missed it in April also, and we didn't know about it.
Okay.
So it was weird. I think if some of us had known, we probably would have gone. And I believe there is money, if I remember correctly, there is money in the budget.
There is money in the budget, yeah.
So for travel and stay, that was a 3-night, no, 2-night stay.
Yeah.
But we
Okay.
didn't know.
I'll get you some information about that. I'll go ahead and email that to y'all so you'll have it.
That'd be fine.
We can get that scheduled.
All 5 of us. In new business, about the Hart House.
That's new business?
No, that's kind of old business to us, but it's kind of, well, it's old news in the community, but new to historic preservation.
Okay. I'm not sure why this was on the agenda. Do you?
It's always on the agenda.
It's always on the agenda, isn't it?
Just a kind of an update, and I usually do it.
Sure.
The Hart House Historical, let me rephrase, the Villa Rica Area Historical Society, a 501(c)(3). We are starting a venture to acquire corporate sponsors. This past month, we have received a promise for in excess of $4,200, our first corporate sponsor. Yay. Our treasury is growing, and we are looking for more control of what's happening with the Hart House. We are lacking control of any facet of the Hart House. I was recently elected president 2017 for the Hart House, VROS, sorry, excuse me. And I'm pushing kind of hard for a meeting with Mr. Camp and other trustees or members. We would really like to come to a decision, something, soon, rather than later. The house is sitting there rotting. It needs to be addressed. Thank you. That's it.
Is it secure? I mean,
Yes, we did have a subcontractor go out and secure the doors and the fireplace openings. There are padlocks on it, and my understanding, and I could be wrong, we put padlocks on it as VROS, and the church came behind us and put padlocks on it as well. I'm not sure if that's correct or not. I haven't been out there recently to see, but that was the last feedback that I got.
Okay.
I guess rather be safe than sorry.
I guess.
All right. Anything else? And historic preservation grant.
Okay, this is an item that I did ask to be put on the agenda. Last year before I left, Villa Rica had been given a grant by the state to complete some mapping of historic district structures. University of West Georgia did a survey several years ago of all the houses that were over 50 years old. There's hundreds of houses in that survey, and that's on the website. I don't know if any of you've looked at it. The next step in that process is to have those placed on this GIS mapping system that belongs to the state called NARGIS. So I applied for a grant. We were given the grant. It's for $4,000. The city has to put in a match of $2,600. And hopefully we can get somebody. There are historic preservation consultants out there that's all they do is this mapping. And I think if we got somebody with experience that could do it pretty quickly, I think they could get it done for that $6,600 pretty easily. I'd already written the RFP when I left last year. It's ready to be advertised. And I just need to check the budget and make sure that I still have the money. I don't foresee a big issue with that. It's just $2,600, but I just need to make sure that we still have money for that match.
Didn't we have like $5,000 kind of unallocated
Yeah, last year,
in well, I believe it carried over. Well, actually, I think it was 15 from last year, or 10 or 15 from last year, and it was reduced down to 5.
Okay,
But it's just a single line item. It's not an allocated or dedicated line
right,
of expenditure, so it's
Right.
just a general
right.
as we need.
So we have to do this in order to maintain the certified local government status.
Okay.
That status allows us and citizens to apply for other grants in the city. If we don't get this mapping done, we're at risk of losing everything else. So we need to get that done. So I'm planning to move forward with getting that advertised
Okay.
pretty quickly.
Have you met with the new manager yet, or the interim manager, to discuss that yet? Or
I have not
with the
discussed
mayor?
this with him. I discussed it with Vicky, and she said we need to move forward with it.
Okay.
So
Or
I will talk with him.
the mayor?
I will talk with the mayor as well.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Okay.
No, I just kind of,
Yeah.
because I'm trying to gauge what we should advise. you know.
Right, yeah, I mean, we need to make sure everybody's on
Yeah.
board with it.
Yeah, I would say go ahead and go with it, and go ahead and do your request for a proposal, and just make sure you get your $2,400 in grant, because I think you're going to be fine if you have to take the money specifically out of our budget.
Yeah.
You know, they'll leave us with $2,600 for training. That should be fine.
The training, I mean, I don't see a problem with having money for this, for the match. The training generally comes out of this city manager's budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In other business, are there any other miscellaneous items we need to be talking about?
I don't have anything.
Even Chris? Don't even want to talk about the exterior of his shiny new motel possibly coming to town? No.
We won't know what that's going to look like till the developers identify it.
All right.
They may not want to go with that thing.
Okay. All right. We're up to public comments. If anyone would like to come before us and speak, please come forward.
She looks good, too.
I hadn't been in a long time.
Yeah.
Thought I'd
Okay, sure.
pop in. Summer's usually a little slower and
Yeah.
see what was the latest on the docket. Somebody needs to put me back on the minutes list so I get the minutes, because I used to always at least read the minutes even
Okay.
if I wasn't here.
Okay.
Kind of keep up with what
Yeah,
y'all are
yeah.
doing.
And you'll add city council to the minutes distribution?
Yeah, I will. I've
Okay.
just
That's
made
what
myself a
I'm writing
note.
notes about. Okay. Anything else? As far as I know, our next meeting will be in August on our normal meeting night of Tuesday,
Yeah, the second Tuesday.
second Tuesday, correct. Okay. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're out.
That's a new world record.
Yes.